8 hours. Ooh. Live, local, and up to the minute. This is Polygon Issuance number 110. It's now June. It's now meteorological summer. It's hot. It's not hot here, though, mainly for the fact that about an hour ago we had a downpour. It's over an hour ago now. So it's cooler now. So Jeff is here, and Matt is not right now. So I don't know where Matt is. I sent him an invite. Don't know where he is. He may be riding his motorcycle. It was a good day for it until some pop-up showers and a few rumbles of thunder decided to make an appearance later in the day. So we'll see what happens. The weather, well, right now the weather is perfectly happy. We had some fairly decent thunderstorms around here where I'm at in the eastern part of Iowa last night and into early this morning. A lot of lightning with them. About 3/10 of an inch of rain I got in my rain gauge from those storms. I think the shower that I had here, probably a few hundredths, if that, because it did wet the ground, but it did rain for quite a bit, so I'd probably have a couple more hundredths with that. But other than that, around here specifically, I'm not talking about elsewhere because there is more excitement elsewhere. The weather's been pretty, what I would call boring. Now, elsewhere, it's not really boring. For example, the desert Southwest is baking. They're seeing temperatures way above 100, even 110. They're just, I think they want the monsoon start now in Phoenix and Tucson. I think they want the monsoon like right now, because I think they're already probably sick of 115. It's like 100 degrees is like a cold snap for them, but 115, yeah, that's not so good. Other than that, now, and then we have a trough over the east. Now, there is what could be a fairly robust severe weather event on the East Coast tomorrow. This would be Sunday, June 5th is when this would occur of 2016. The SPC has an enhanced risk of severe weather in the mid-Atlantic, slight risk all along the East Coast. And I might rant about this depending on if Matt gets in here. And I'm going to make sure that he's not sending me something, and he's not. And I'm going to bring this up when I'm going to keep talking about it, but the main severe weather factors for tomorrow, Sunday, is pretty much going to be wind, quite a bit of it, and hail. Maybe a few tornadoes, but it's not the main factor. But there's too many people that see this enhanced risk along the East Coast and think it's going to be like an enhanced risk in the plains, or to that effect. And I'm going to bring it up soon, so bear with me because I'm going to put it up. And so here is the SPC outlook. This is on Sunday. You can see the enhanced risk in the mid-Atlantic and slight risk down into Georgia. Mainly wind and hail, maybe a few tornadoes. There'll be supercells, a lot of downburst winds, and the like. But there's too many people that would look at that and go, ooh, tornadoes. Well, there could be, but it's not. The weather pattern in the mid-Atlantic states down to the Carolinas is not quite the same, especially with this, because this is going to have a lot of moisture with it from another feature, which we're going to talk about after that, than what you would see, say, in the plains, say out in Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. So it'll be an active weather day across the East Coast, down in the Southeast, and unfortunately, the NASCAR race, for those, a lot of them that follow, the NASCAR race this weekend is in the Pocono, which is up here. And this brings back an unfortunate event that occurred a couple years ago where a fan was killed at a NASCAR race at Pocono from lightning. And I'm hoping they've learned their lesson from that, because they may be running into the same thing again. Now, I know today they had the Xfinity Series race, the second tier series, and that race was rain shortened. So it wouldn't surprise me that the Cup race would probably be rain shortened, or they're going to have to like hurry and make sure. I'm hoping they're not just going to wait until it starts raining, because by then fans are going to want to watch the race, and they're going to wait until it's too late to stop the race, especially if a very nasty electrical type storm comes. They would be, in NASCAR's case, putting not just the drivers and crew members at risk, but fans, because the people out in the camping area at Pocono, they're fairly safe to a certain extent that they can go in their camper and be safe if they're able to, and whatnot, cars, whatnot. The crew members, though, and drivers, they're standing out, let's say, on pit road. If they come in and have to put tarps over, they can't really start escorting everybody and evacuating everybody. And then you have people in the stands that are in some cases, in quite a few tracks, metal. Well, lightning is going to hit one piece of that, and it could knock out, say, hundreds of people. So I just fear that something like that could happen. I'm hoping it won't. But yeah, that's what's going to happen tomorrow. Then, and I'll continue to discuss this after this. I don't see any severe weather, because then we're going to have a trough in the east and a ridge in the west, which we're continuing to see right now. And I don't see any severe weather most of the rest of the next week or so. So it's looking fairly benign at this point. Now we're going to talk about the other thing that's been happening, and that is right here. And I'm going to bring this up. This is from the Hurricane Center. We have Bonnie, the depression, out in the Atlantic. It's moving east. It looks, at this point, it's been a tropical storm, I think, twice. The second time, it looked better than the first time. We'll just say that. All it did was pretty much bring tons of rain to the Carolinas, and a little bit of breezy conditions. This system that has the X that's down here just off of Belize, that's in the Western Caribbean, that is going to be the next system to watch out for. And that system models are indicating it's going to, and I'm going to make sure I get onto the website, that it's going to, it says it's an 80% chance it's going to develop. It's going to move north and then somewhere into Florida, because you have a frontal system. Remember, SPC, severe weather? You have a frontal system here. So anything that's down here where this is going to get shunted to the northeast. So it's going to go into Florida. Is it going to be like anything exciting? Probably not. Will it be a name storm? There's a pretty good chance it probably will be. It's probably going to be similar in strength to what Bonnie was. Bonnie was a minimal tropical storm. Probably going to bring a lot of rain and a little bit of breezing conditions. Nothing out of the ordinary with regards to tropical storms coming through. So, but it's a good plan of action to get prepared, since hurricane season has started. And we had Alex at the beginning of the year, Bonnie now, and we're about to have the C name, and we're not even up to the 10th of June yet. And the poor Eastern Pacific hasn't had a storm yet, although now I'll probably say they have. No, but there's a couple of systems out here that the Eastern Pacific could have, but the main show in town looks to be from this system down here. That's just off Belize. It's expected to move north and then northeast into Florida sometime at the end of probably Monday or Tuesday of next week, I would say, is when that's probably going to occur. So, and then the bad thing is that I have no idea what the name is going to be. So The C name is Colin. Somebody's going to make a fun name about that and probably call it Colon. Brother. I believe, and I'd have to look this up. Yeah. So yeah, Colin is going to be the next storm. If we get a storm in the Eastern Pacific, we haven't had one, so it'd be Agatha. So it'd be Agatha Christie. I'm going to make I had to do that. It's Agatha is the first name in the Eastern Pacific this year. So that's what we have right now going on in the tropics at this point. Other than that, not a whole heck of a lot going on. I might go ahead and discuss the some of the now I've lost train of thought. This is what happens when I'm trying to do this and I'm losing my train of thought. The forecast for the hurricane season, of course, and I mentioned this in the last episode, that I think it's going to be a normal season, back-ended with an above-average end. But then when we could be heading for the sea storm already, and it's only June, we could be having a sea storm on June 5th, and I fear this is going to happen. Somebody is going to say, oh my gosh, we are at 3 named storms already, and it's June 5th. The world is ending. Somebody is going to make some snide remark that's related to climate change. And the first thing I'd say is Bonnie was a minimal tropical storm, and this sea storm is probably going to be similar. It might be a little bit stronger because it's probably going to have more momentum to the northeast, and storms will tend to have a lot more wind with it. So it's probably going to be 55, 60 is my guess with C if we do get a Colin. I'm going to call it Colin. I swear I'm going to do that. So, but honestly, in this day and age, I think it's not about the number of storms. It's about the strength of said storms. And too many people are like, well, we had 20-some named storms. Well, if we had 15 of them never got to hurricane status, you had a bunch of tropical storms and very few hurricanes. Well, it doesn't matter if it's 20 named storms. Is that going to happen this year? Probably not. There's going to be a lot of hurricanes. There's probably going to be at least 3 majors this year. And if the majors are out in the middle of nowhere, then nobody remembers them. Because nobody's going to retire a Category 5 that hits absolutely nothing. It's going to be remembered for a certain thing, but will people remember anything about a Category 5 out in the middle of the ocean? No. If it doesn't hit anything. But if like we have a thing like Tropical Storm Allison back in 2001, which was 15 years ago. Gosh, it seems so long ago, or longer ago. And that was a tropical storm, and it got retired because it dumped 40-some inches of rain on Houston. Well, you're not going to have hundreds of those. If we did, I think I would really start to wonder what was going on. So I would say, and I'm probably do a beef with hurricane names, because I have a beef with the hurricane names. So as many of you know, because that, of course, my name, Jeff, either could be spelled with a G or J. Well, it's interesting to note the J name last year was a male name, and it got retired. They replaced it with Julian. Don't think I was not happy about that. So I am not a happy camper about that, about them replacing it with not my name. So, but I just wanted to go off on that a little bit. But outside of that, I don't see much of anything else going on. Although if anybody, and of course, if anybody is watching, which I think there's a few people watching, that they can always tweet me and ask anything if I wanted to, if I missed something, because Lord knows I probably have missed something between something happening, or because I try to put a list together, and typically Matt tries to reminds me of other stuff that I've forgotten or didn't think of. And with Matt not being around, it's kind of like, okay, I'm lost. So, but anyway, as I look outside, the sun's out again. But then I look at the radar, and there's some more rain west of me again. So it's like, yeah, the typical wait 5 minutes, the weather change. Yep, that sounds like that's going to happen. So I don't want to keep just rattling off stuff, given the fact that the show has only been going 15 minutes, almost 16. And it doesn't seem like it's any substantial stuff going on, because I haven't had to do a show by myself in, gosh, what has it been, like months? So, but in regards that I'm with guests and whatnot, I'm still trying. It's getting frustrating with guests and whatnot, that after emailing over 200 people and getting no response from that many, I'm surprised that I've gotten as many as I've gotten. So, and I think that the number I've emailed that have not responded to me in the 2 years, 3 months that we've done the show's been done, is closing up at 250 people now. And then add the people that have been on, and I'm probably emailed well over 320 people for the show. So I got my batting average is kind of meh with regards to that, but I'm still going to keep trying. But I think what's probably going to happen with this show is that I'm probably going to put it on hiatus for a time, because I think it needs to like have freshness. It needs to be refreshened and whatnot. And maybe what is going to take its place while it's gone is probably something similar to what's been going the last couple of weeks between Matthew and myself, is to have more of a discussion type show with of the weather, what's going on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's just between us. That's a no guest show. Because as everybody has known, Polygon, when I started it back in, if we count the beta episodes, which are counted as episodes, back in 2013 in the summer, which was the first one I ever did. I did 2 beta episodes, and then we started again in March of 2014. That it was supposed to be a show where I and at that time Henry interview meteorologists or people connected to the weather field. Well, that's what the show was meant to be, and Matthew is now in here just as I'm about to end.
Oh, really?
Well, you can I'll just keep going because now Matthew's in here, so Matthew will come up with stuff. But anyway, I'm like doing a breaking news thing. Anyway,
oh, what's the breaking news?
That I'm putting the show on hiatus.
Oh,
but this is what I've said. This discussion show is going to continue under another name. So, because as you came in, that Polygon was meant to be a show interviewing people, and as you've plainly noticed, the show hasn't had a lot of people being interviewed of late. So I think it would be best to have the show this part be put onto hiatus, and have the discussion that Matthew and I do as its own show that I don't know what I'm going to call it. That's up for anybody else to decide.
I have a lot of ideas for that.
Oh gosh, now Matthew's going to cause trouble. And this would be a show where we would want more people. Bring on more people. If anybody wants to be on said show, whatever Matt's going to call it, he'll call it something.
Yep.
That we could do that, because that would make it feel like it's a lot more looser. People might be more willing to come on a show if we're just going to have, I'm not going to be like meteorologists, like normal people that are just going to want to just gab. You know what I mean?
I think the whole bench should be, it's just people, but we just all happen to have the same interest of weather. So it's not like a formal, I am you, you are, or I am me, you are you, interview, digital mahogany table-esque thing. It shouldn't be that.
And we'll still do polygons when we get back to doing guests again. We're just going to have to bounce this around, because at this point, Matt has struggled to get people to commit. I'm getting people struggling to get people to even respond. So that's what I'm doing with that. Now, since Matt's here, I'm going to have to repeat everything I said for the first about 20 minutes before we started. When I started. So I talked about, and Matt, I'll just repeat everything I just said. I'm not going to repeat everything. Oh my gosh, that would take forever. And it rained today. It's cold. It's hot in the south and west. Tropical storm Bonnie, which is now a depression, is moving away. New tropical system, which would be named Colin, could be coming. It's going to hit Florida. Severe weather event tomorrow. Mid-Atlantic, Carolinas. NASCAR race could get affected. In Pocono, site of person getting killed by lightning a few years ago. And then I was discussing about Polygon and then all that stuff, and then you came in.
Oh, and more breaking news. It's raining right now as we speak.
Yeah, it's raining at his house. It's not raining at my house. The sun's out. It's a wonderful.
It'll be there shortly.
Wait a minute. Let me look. No, it's not. It's not coming toward me. It's gliding southeastward.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The first one did come, and it poured, and it got real windy.
Yeah, I was helping my veterans group set up our booth at the Anamosa Hill Climb today.
Yeah,
and
so
we got wet quick, so we left. That's why I'm late. It was because I was coming back.
Yeah, I figured the first thing I thought of is when you were late, I'm thinking he's probably down here because they're having the vintage rally down here at the motorcycle museum. I'm thinking, oh, well, Matt's probably out riding his motorcycle. Something to that effect.
I will neither confirm nor deny that I have been riding.
That means he has. It was a great day until the afternoon when it decided to start getting nasty, but
it was a beautiful day for a ride. There was tons of motorcycles out. Tons.
Around here, there will be with the vintage rally. The hill climb is tomorrow.
Yep.
It's going to be a bit goopy on the hill climb.
The way I hear it, they're prepared for that.
Yeah, it's going to be
the racers, not really the course, because they can't really do a whole lot with
the course. The ruts are in there.
But, well, there's a certain amount of grooming that they can do. Although I'm not sure how much they can do on a 60-some-odd degree incline. But
the only godsend is that the river's not flooding.
Yeah.
Because
the racers can do a lot with tire selection and gearing and stuff like that to make it to where it's not a big issue. Obviously, it is going to be a factor, but it won't be an issue.
Okay, we're gonna keep talking. I'm gonna bring it up. So
you're gonna bring which up?
I'm gonna bring up the hill we're discussing.
Oh, yeah, that thing is nasty. I went to that thing the first time. What was it, 2 or 3 years ago? And I could not believe that it was even a thing. I didn't even know that motorcycle hill climbing was like a thing. I didn't even know that this idea had even existed on this planet. And I go to this thing and I'm seeing these guys climb this 100-foot, whatever it is, hill in some of these guys are doing it in like 6 seconds. And it's
not
when you're down at the bottom, it almost looks straight up.
Yeah.
I mean, and every time I go, I feel for the course workers, the track people that have to stay up on that hill all day long when it's hot or it's raining, and they have to stay on that incline. I can only imagine what their legs feel like the day after.
Okay, now this is interesting because this is okay. So just a minute, I'm getting it prepared. I was like, I'm getting it prepared. So I'm grooming
Working
this
diligently.
I'm grooming this out.
Making it
okay. So this is
for live
this is the hill in question. It's over on the left. So let me get over to it. It's right here. So Matthew was down here.
You can't street view that down where your mouse is, can you?
No.
No? Oh, okay. That's a bummer.
This is from 2008, mind you, and you can still see ruts here. They've been doing this.
That does not do it justice. Even that doesn't
do it justice. This was in 2008. 2008 was the flood year. See, there's the river. This is what it looked like in the September after the flood. This down here, the bottomland, floods pretty much every spring.
Yeah, it does. Anytime there's a really healthy rain, or rather a couple of really healthy rains, that river spills over its banks a little bit, and that little flat part gets underwater for a couple weeks. But that's a really good place to eat there on the other side of the
Scooters.
On the other side of the river.
Yep.
Really good place to eat.
So I assume you were there.
I was stealing their Wi-Fi. I was pulling up Brian Peters, and I was stealing their Wi-Fi earlier today.
Okay, here's something of note. You know what also this is? What this area is known for?
What's that?
Right where you see if you can see the mouse pointing, if you're looking right here.
Yep.
That is where there was a tornado during the time the Iowa City tornado back in 2006.
Really?
April 13th, 2006. There was a tornado in Anamosa, and it crossed the river where you kind of see these trees kind of a little bit messed up because this is from 2008, so you can still see it a lot.
Yeah, there's like a half moon shape there.
Right here. Well, there's a half moon here because that's an old quarry.
Well, I mean, in the skyline of the trees.
Right here, it crossed the river. There used to be a road sign here. It got taken away. That's why they had to put the new one here. This was put here. That sign used to be over here. That flew away. It crossed the river here, and it hit this house that's right here and obliterated it.
That's why that house looks so much nicer than most of the other houses in that area. Pre-subdivision, because there's a new subdivision kind of up by that hill.
That subdivision was there at the time of the 2006 tornado, and
it was.
And the tornado then continued down into these trees over here. That was an EF1 tornado, and this is the reason why Scooters is here, because this entire land used to be a pasture and a horse thing. And this was the house. This house and all of this land was one land thing. They were selling the house and the land at the time of the tornado. The house is now separated, and Scooters owns the rest.
Oh, okay.
So that's how Scooters got to be where it is, because of a tornado, more or less. So, hint, hint, the hill climb right here is known for just more than that. It's known for being a site of a tornado. I connected it to weather.
Nice.
So
very nice.
And by the way, I'll get people. I love this because this. I want to see people try and pronounce this river right here. If people can't pronounce it, because I might go off about this because we're going off topic.
I don't know which river that is.
This would be the Wapsipinicon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Wapsipinicon River.
Yeah. Tell some people to try and pronounce it. They won't pronounce it right.
Or try and tell them to go to Quasqueton.
Oh yeah, then they'll be like, yeah, they're lost. But I've heard it called there. This was back many years ago on the Weather Channel. They mentioned the river, the Wapsipinicon. They didn't pronounce it right.
I'd like to know how they pronounced it.
I remember this like
there's a lot of ways you could absolutely
how they described it. They called it the Wapsipinicon River. What?
Wow.
What the heck is that? I don't know. I've never heard of the Wapsipinicon, whatever the heck that is.
A lot of Seminoles got really offended.
The infamous person that said that was Bob Stokes, aka Swizzlestick Guy. And a lot of weather nerds, geeks, dorks, whatnot would know who Bob Stokes is and would remember Swizzlestick.
Yep.
And I'm not going to go into that because that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, you could do a whole episode on just the Swizzlestick.
Controversy. I'm sorry, we're going to have controversy. So, outside of the hill climb, because it's going to be great tomorrow. This is the last. It's going to be kind of So,
hopefully this rain will clear out. It looks like it's starting to clear out already.
It's not going to be around much longer because this is popcorn activity.
Yeah.
That's going to go, but
I'm hoping that there's enough time to really get that first probably foot or so good and dried out.
Well, you would need when it rained, and I'm sure because you were just down the road, that when it rained about an hour and a half ago or so, it got really windy briefly. At least it did here. And I was like, okay. And
I would go as far as to say that some of that wind was borderline severe because it forced me to change lanes.
Well, I noticed because the rain came in and there was people outside at my apartment building and they were like looking at the sky wondering what was going on because you could kind of tell, and I didn't go outside and take pictures, but it almost looked like you could see almost like a lowering, which I think was the shelf cloud, but it looked very ominous that it did not look like just a shelf cloud.
Yeah, I saw it from not a great distance because of where I was at, but I saw it far enough away I could tell it was just a shelf. But it was kind of low.
Yeah.
And that made it look kind of ominous, but the rest of the storm was really elevated, so I think it was just
these were all elevated storms to begin with.
Yeah.
And fairly, what I would call somewhat high-based, but not very.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't going to get like, oh my gosh, tornadoes. There were a few tornado warnings. There was one in Wisconsin today. There was one in Indiana and Ohio, but that's with the system that's going out into the Mid-Atlantic. And you don't know if you want to talk about that because I discussed it earlier when you were kind of still trying to get on.
Well, you've already mentioned it, so that's. I don't want to beat a dead horse.
But enhanced risk in Mid-Atlantic is not going to mean, oh my gosh, 5,000 tornadoes. Because the main risk, like I mentioned, hail, wind.
It's not going to be April 15th, 2011 all over again.
Well, for the Carolinas, it would be April 16th.
I'm sorry, 16th.
Or it won't be like a May 31st, 1985 event,
correct,
which we also have discussed on the show. So outside of all that, the people got to go back home at Fort McMurray. I think it was
really?
They started taking them back.
That's awesome.
So, I've noticed it seems like from what I gather, the temperatures up there have not even been anywhere close to what they were back when the fires were going on. So it's like, okay. So I think I'd have to think, I'm not sure if there are even still fires up there. I think there may still be, but nowhere near the town now. So that it's like the fire goes out into the wilderness and nobody cares.
Yep.
It figures. So.
Well, it's time for me to go. It's time for me to start a barbecue.
Ooh, yay, because it's drying out, I assume.
Yes. And my wife is beckoning me. Start the barbecue. It's not raining
Yay.
anymore.
Yeah, stop talking. So Matt's going to go onto the barbecue, and he's going to cook up some meat.
Yes.
And I'll shut this down because we'll figure out a name for the new show while we continue to find guests for the old show. So while I say good night from myself and Matt from the barbecue, everybody have a good weekend, a safe weekend, and goodbye.
Have fun.